All right, straight going to our top story. 8-year-old Kashmiri world kickboxing champion Tajamul Islam has posted a Facebook video lashing out at the state government for not providing adequate sports facilities. In the live video, Tajamul denounced both the centre and the state government for failing to fulfill the promises of the developing sports academies across Jammu and Kashmir. She spoke exclusively about her academy in Bandipora district, where sports persons continue to face neglect. Tajamul demonstrates the conditions under which the wushu and taekwondo players have to practice. She added, despite promises of constructing an indoor stadium, Bandiporians were devoid of all facilities.
एक इंडोर स्टेडियम नहीं दे पाए वो हमें स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से। मैं रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ एक इंडोर स्टेडियम तो मांगा था। देखिए बारिश में जब यहाँ पानी बरसता है तो गड्ढे यहाँ पे हो जाते हैं और विंटर में हम कुछ कर नहीं पाते। अरे बड़ा कहते हैं कि वो करेंगे ये करेंगे, पर जब से मैं अकेडमी में चल रही हूँ तब से मैंने उसे वैसे ही देखा है।
I think it's a legitimate demand, और since it's coming from players and children of Kashmir, so पहली बार ऐसा हो रहा है कि ऐसी डिमांड्स ग्राउंड्स के लिए, इक्विपमेंट्स के लिए, स्पोर्ट्स और ट्रेनिंग के लिए कश्मीर से आ रही है, या बांडीपोरा से या बाकी डिस्ट्रिक्ट से भी सिमिलर डिमांड्स आ रही है। क्योंकि यहाँ पर वी आर अ यूथ पॉपुलेटेड स्टेट और यूथ को स्पेसेस चाहिए, ग्राउंड्स चाहिए, और आज तक अगर आप देखें तो ज़्यादा काम ग्राउंड्स डेवलपमेंट पे नहीं हुआ है।
Let me go across to my colleague Shuja Thakur, who is joining us for more on this story. Shuja, when this young girl won the taekwondo event, she was hailed all across India. We saw her, a regular feature of many news channels as well. And now she's talking about the apathy on social media. Has the government reacted to it?
Well, yes, that's right, Ankit. It's really shocking that someone like her, who just about a month or 2 months back was being hailed by everybody, every minister, every government functionary, and today she has to actually come out on social media and describe the apathy of. You just heard the State Sports Council Secretary, in that bite, accepting that there are lacks and saying that they need to do more. But the question really is that who will seek answers for the failure of these governments subsequently, who have failed continuously to bring about these sporting facilities to the people and the children of the valley. Remember, Ankit, there have been constant unrests in the valley, and after almost every unrest there are reports submitted to the government suggesting that the youth needs to be engaged, they need to be given sporting facilities so that they have things to do. But really on the ground, the reality is what Tajamul Islam is expressing. I think a lot of questioning needs to be done so that these subsequent regimes, both National Conference as well as PDP now, has to do some answering as to why they have failed time and again.
Shuja, speaking about the conditions, and of course a lot of people have been saying that these are the things that the government from the centre, also from the state, needs to focus on if they want to drive the young generation out of this entire vicious cycle of being stone pelters and the kind of environment that the young people live in Jammu and Kashmir. This is a perfect example for the state government and the central government to come together, intervene, and almost set an example of how young Kashmiris are being taken care of.
That's the point, Ankit. Not just is it an opportunity, but it's also a huge point where we need to ponder upon. It's not as if there isn't money spent in these sporting bodies. Remember, we have been talking about many scams that have been unearthed in the valley, with regards to sporting bodies. JKCA, the Cricketing Association, has a huge scam which is in the courts at this point of time. Hundreds of crores of rupees, allegedly have been swindled. The question really needs to be asked is that what happens to all the budgets that are established every year for every year for this purpose. Where does this money go if it is not being used for the real things on the ground? Who really are the people in between where who take it away? That's the question that one needs to ask, because every year they will come up with proposals, allocate budgets to it, money will come from center and the state, but if it doesn't reach to the real beneficiaries on the ground, then what's the point of all of that?
Shuja, also, I'm sure you're trying to contact the government and this. What is the girl now saying? Social media these days have been utilized extensively to bring out the problems. We saw some Jawans also doing that. Now this girl also using the same method. Is there, any sort of pressure as well from any quarter to take it back? What are her family, her coach, and people around her saying?
Well, Ankit, if you look at the video, it has been made to express the reality, and the manner she is very articulately tried to describe the situation and the condition in which players like her have to work suggests that they want to sort of send across a message. So far, we haven't heard anything from her coaches or her family which could suggest that there is any pressure on her to remove or backtrack from their statements. They seem to be very clear with their point of view that there are promises that have been made to people like them, for stadiums, for indoor stadiums like she was talking about, and those promises need to be fulfilled. The governments cannot just shrug off from their responsibilities by saying that there is trouble in the valley, or it was done in a regime prior to them. The fact of the matter is that there is a government that is established here, there is a sports council that is established here. It's their job to ensure that these facilities are given. And what is all the more shocking and ironic is that someone like Tajamul Islam is coming out and sending across this message. She, like you pointed out, just 2 months back, she was being hailed by every sports minister or a minister in the valley as well as outside. Now, if she has to come out and talk about the ironies, one can only imagine the plight of those people who perhaps are not as known as she is.
Absolutely. Just stay on with me, Shuja. Let me also bring in the Executive Editor, Govt Sawant, for more on this. Govt, in fact, Govt, just a few months back when she won that competition, she met you. You did that story with her as well. This, as I was discussing with Shuja, also gives an opportunity. It is an opportunity possibly for the state and the centre government to ensure that the young people of Kashmir are taken care of. They can send across a message that the government is with the young stars of Kashmir.
And sadly, neither the state government nor the central government have moved forward and done much on ground, as these images show. And Tajamul Islam is one instance. We have many superstars in the Kashmir Valley who have brought laurels to the country. But look at the conditions in which they practice. Now, they're not only braving these odds, whether it's the weather or the situation, but also stone pelters, because there's a lot of opposition that they face when they go out to practice, and yet they do. But the facilities that they have are less than the basic. And Tajamul Islam and her coach both told me that what they wanted was proper training ground, but that hasn't been done. They wanted proper training facilities, not very expensive, when students can pool in money, when parents can pool in money, when the coach himself is putting in his money. It's surprising that the center and the state that have crores and crores that flow into Kashmir, they are unable to provide even the basic facilities for us sports persons in Kashmir.
Gaurav, you've covered Kashmir very closely. I would also, like to bring your attention to the fact that just a few days back, there was this whole controversy of how separatist leader Syed Gilani's grandson, in fact, was inducted in the government or some government post in Jammu and Kashmir. There was a lot of hue and cry about that. When you see these things, and especially with the young people in Kashmir, they are caught in this vicious cycle of the violence in Kashmir, of stone pelting and so on and so forth. This girl who has on her own merit tried to become an example for the young people, the government seems to be failing her.
Oh, absolutely. It's the army, and this is something which is very ironical. It's the army that trains them, funds them out of army funds, buys their tickets to go for international tournaments. All of this is not the job of the army, but in Tajamul Islam's case and in several other cases, the army has done that. The commanding officer of the local unit in their area, they arrange funds for them to carry out their training or go out for international festivals, tournaments. While that is very good at one level, it brings the warmth between the people and the army. It's the job of the elected representatives, because the army can control the situation up to a point, then it's for the elected leadership to take over. And while the Mehbooba Mufti government has made big claims, they need to be seen on ground, because what should youngsters do? As Shuja was also explaining, the youngsters need playing fields, they need an environment where they can play. In the absence of all of that, where does their energy go? And in some cases, then the energy of some of the misguided youth gets diverted to stone pelting.
Yes.
That needs to stop. And yesterday, you'd notice India Today exposed that terrorist Musa of Hizbul Mujahideen, who said pick up the stone, and that is where they're misguiding youngsters.
Absolutely.
And, pick up the stone in the name of to establish Sharia law. Is that what Kashmir wants? That's the big question.
Absolutely, Gaurav Sawant. The big question, of course, for the state government now to look into whether they only have a soft corner for the separatists and their family, or a young talent in Kashmir like this needs more attention from the government of the day. Thank you so much, Shujaul Haq and Gaurav Sawant, for joining us with perspective on this story.